Hello, let's talk about Embers of War, number one in the Ember of War trilogy by Gareth L. Powell. This is military science fiction space opera. Uh, it's concerned about the aftermath of a war crime, the destruction of a sentient forest on a planet. What was happening, there was a space battle going on, and the one side decided, the way we can end this war is the order is given and they fly around the battle. They don't engage with the military. They go to the planet and they bomb the planet. They don't target anything in particular. They're just trying to wipe out. It's not a military target they're trying to wipe out. They're just wiping out this sentient forest. It ends the war, but it is definitely viewed as and is a war crime. This is the science fiction equivalent of bombing the civilians to atoms to break the spirit of your adversary, but not actually engaging with the military itself. So that's sort of the setup for this world, where the aftermath of war, like will peace continue? What kicks off this book is a cruise liner who is in a very odd system of an ancient wonder, where some unknown race eons ago has carved this system of planets into various different shapes. This cruise liner, which is carrying war poet Una Sudak on it, is shot down, and pretty quickly it's seen that they're systematically trying to kill every single person on this cruise liner for some unknown reason. This kicks off a rescue operation where the House of Reclamation, which is this organization in this universe of sort of the George R.R. Martin kind of Black Watch idea of, it's the misfits, it's the discards, it's the people who've renounced their loyalty from the various different factions, all get together in this organization to do rescue missions to try and promote peace. It's had a long history, but it's also very ill-funded. There's a lot of secondhand ships, and there's only one ship that happens to be in the area that can get to this place in, I think it's going to take them 5 days to get there if they burn really hard. And that is the Troubledog, and the ship, the Troubledog, and its crew. The Troubledog is a sentient ship. It's a former warship that actually made the decision it didn't want to kill anymore and resigned its commission and joined the House of Reclamation. I think they were so shocked that they let it do it versus just blowing this ship out of the sky. It presents as a female avatar. The mind of Troubledog is apparently created partially from the cloned stem cells of a human being, and there's even some kind of using the image of that former human being kind of slightly modified as her own image. Crewing the ship is the captain, Sal Constans, an ex-captain of medical frigate, also was military, who resigned to do this. There's various crew members. This story kicks off with her making a questionable decision, which ends up with their medical officer getting killed, which very much other members of the crew, blame her for that. It is one of these things of bad situations where you're making quick things of, like, they're doing a rescue operation and she doesn't think about all the safety protocols in her haste to get this going, or in a hurry, like, I'm not going to pause, and that has bad consequences. So sort of setting up all these kind of moral decisions of, from the war crime to, individual decisions which could put your crew in danger, but you're trying to rescue other people. I think the other notable character on the crew is Nod, this strange alien race of creatures who basically lives in the innards of Troubledog and repairs, and is very much keeps to itself, is all about service and fixing the ship. And we get that point of view of them, Nod basically complaining about how ill-treated the ship is and he is in through all this. At the same time, we get Ashton Child, who is an intelligence officer on yet another planet where a proxy war is going on, where the big factions are funneling weapons into this planet to fuel it's a disputed planet, and they're to arm the two sides, which causes great horror and suffering on that planet. He is called away to also you need to track down Ona Sudak get Ona Sudak out. There's some, this Ona Sudak keeps on coming up, and it's like, who is she? And is she just a war poet, or is she something else? There's the kind of the internal conflicts on the ship. Ashton Child also brings further conflict onto the ship. It's somewhat chemically manufactured conflict that way. There's the big bads on the outside. There's an evil admiral who's like frothing at the mouth to kill. There's the other ships who are definitely not portrayed as deeply or as interestingly as Troubledog herself. So, the really good things about this book is it's pacey. We click back and forth between these various different viewpoints fairly quickly. And the best viewpoint, the most interesting one, is probably Troubledog. Sal is an interesting one. Ashton Child I enjoy. I think Nod is the most sort of annoying one, because Nod is this character who doesn't particularly interact with the rest of the crew. He's all way off in the ship somewhere fixing stuff, and we just get him constantly complaining. So he doesn't get interaction, and he's just complaining. So he is somewhat tiresome, even though as the story goes on, he does have a plot point to him of why we've had to have this. As I said, I really like this idea of the House of Reclamation, of this kind of an outside organization from all the conflict, who's trying to bring peace to this thing, while also having definitely kind of a military construct to its organization. So it's military, but it's military trying to go for peace, and formed by people who were most of them were former military. So I guess a negative and a positive is that the book isn't too bogged down in the dark stuff of war crimes and things like that. It's looking for justice, but it's not getting too bogged down in that. Characters are not over tormented by their dark pasts. That can get somewhat tiresome. On the other hand, it maybe is so light that we're not particularly addressing it that deeply. The book is much more about the adventure than it is about the moral things. I mean, and the ideal thing, I guess, the moral stuff should be underneath, holding it up. In some ways, I feel like the moral quandaries are sprinkled over top of this story of an adventure story to give the adventure story a little bit of gravitas versus the other way around. I do get the sense that that sort of the idea, like, sentient ships and addressing war crimes has been done better elsewhere. Troubledog is a fun character. She is actually, it's strange. It's too bad that she is an interesting character and the other sentient ships aren't. Like, they come across as quite flat, which is like, oh, she's the special flower amongst them, which is like, it makes her less interesting of a story. They just want to kill. And while she has that urge to, she's built to be a warship and to kill and to unleash unlash her thing, she also has this conscience. So, in some ways it's like, oh, we're trying to make you feel have a fun adventure, but she does feel guilty about it. I don't know. And that comes to the thing of like, am I gonna really remember this story? Because one of the things that I didn't realize as I picked up this book is I'd actually read Gareth L. Powell before. I'd read his Ack Macaque series back in the day, which is sort of an alt history kind of steampunk story of a a talking monkey who flies a Spitfire and gets into adventures, which is, you know, was fun but also kind of forgettable. It's so, you know, I guess at the end of the day, this series, this is the first book in the series, this may be kind of a fun story. I don't know if it's going to last in my head. I don't know if it needs to last in my head. Sometimes you just want to read something that's kind of fun, pacey, and well done. I liked the kind of the interactions between the various characters. It's nothing too deep. It may put itself up as, oh, we're going to talk about war crimes and how to transition from war to peace and how to maintain a peace. And there's an overarching thing of oh, there's some kind of a greater evil that is coming in, which is, you know, it's fun. It's more in the pulp. I think it's more in the pulp vein than it is in any kind of serious addressing of these things. And sometimes it's nice. It's good to dress things lightly as well as dressing things seriously. And to be honest, with how I'm feeling at the moment, if this was a serious book about getting down deep into the deep, dark, difficult stuff, I may not have kept up with this book or wanted to go on to the next. I'm going to go on to the next. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to just get this review done, is so, hey, I've addressed this. I've kind of recorded my thoughts on this book. Now I can go on to the next book and then do a little sum up video where I probably just review the whole series in very general terms for more public viewing. All right, so that has been a review of The Embers of War by Gareth L. Powell, which the blurb on the front there, I don't know if you can see it or not, says Powell joins the ranks of Reynolds, Banks, and Hamilton at the forefront of science fiction. No, he's not joining anyone at the forefront. It's a very nice quote. I can see why you would want to put it in the front of your book, but that's raising expectations far. This is a fun sci-fi space opera book, and yeah, it's an entertainment, and we'll just leave it at that. And that is a very worthy goal to attain. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later. I've been Jay.